when I was looking for houses in 2019, I had lived in Sheffield, Great Barrington, Sheffield line. And I was looking for houses to get closer to Pittsfield because the commute from where I lived to Reed Middle School was like an hour and 15 minutes every day. And it was like rough in the winter. So John had posted his house on Facebook. And so when I reached out about the house, because we were like, I was down to the wire on finding a house because the house I lived in was sold. And we had like a month and a half to find a house. And we had kids and a dog, and it was like, oh my gosh. So when I went to message you, I saw that text that you never responded to. And I was in Big Y sending the message like, oh, I'd love to look at your house. And when I opened Messenger and saw that you never got back to me, I was like, what a jerk.
Not cool.
But then I let it go. Cool. I'm like, I just really need a house at this point. But anyway, so that was the first time I messaged you. But then fast forward. So then I went and looked at your house. Beautiful house, but it was not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And then I found the house that we live in now. And we were super, super busy just moving in. It was right before the holidays. And I never gave John Kroll another thought at all. Sorry, honey. But I just didn't.
Well, why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah, I just didn't. I didn't even message you to thank you for the house, or to let you know I wasn't interested in the house. I never even, normally I would message and be like, oh, thank you so much. No, I didn't even do that. We were so busy moving in, and then we had the holidays, and then COVID hit. And and then I had posted a quote in my story on Facebook in probably, I don't know.
I think it was in April. Yeah.
Yeah. And you commented on that quote.
Yeah. And so there it was.
Yeah.
And so that was really where, the relationship kind of started, because we were in our separation situation, and then all of a sudden, bang, there's magic. But the one thing that I realized, that through that time, you kind of look back with rosy-colored glasses, and you're kind of like, oh, it was just nice, and like we were in love and falling in love and this and that. But like, I could get kind of snarky back then a little bit. So like, we showed our true personality. It's just that sometimes, like, before you get married, maybe you look back and like, oh, it was just hunky-dory back then. But
well, because it just started, we were just friends gonna meet up for coffee. Honestly,
light and easy.
Yeah, seriously. Like I mean, and then by the time we did, actually, because of COVID, we couldn't really go anywhere, so we waited, I think, until it must have been like early June before we actually got together for that coffee, and that's when it turned into more.
So
early June,
dating during COVID. But so here's the situation. There are probably a lot of people in the Berkshires who are going through, they've maybe been through separation, and to find love again. And I don't know why I'm turning to Marc Wrzesinski about this, but he just seems like maybe he's the guy to talk to. I don't know but there's got to be social opportunity for people out there. But Marc, hey, it's great to see you, man. It's
good to see you. Good to see you.
And I saw Marc this week, actually. He did a photo shoot for 180 Media and did a hell of a job. And he also told me that I should have never shaved my beard.
Yeah, so, this clean-shaven thing, it's still throwing me off.
It's not.
I mean, it took me a while to get used to the beard. I was like, oh, John finally grew up and looks like an adult now. And then now he looks younger than me. So, like...
So that's your problem.
Yeah,
that's your problem.
Actually, that is the complete problem.
So that's I see. Well,
I'm not shaving though, so
you're not going to do it. No. You're like, yeah, no, I like the beard. I like the beard, and I liked the beard. I just, I want to switch it up a little bit. Okay.
I'm 37 and single. Yeah, just name a dating site. I've probably been on it. But I'm still going to say Tinder's still the gold standard.
Really?
It's the gold standard.
It's the one everyone uses.
Wow.
So.
Wait a minute. I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was the hookup app.
Tinder was, for me, like a reality TV show.
Oh, it still is.
Okay.
It's just it's the only one everyone is on.
Wow.
No matter how much somebody who's single denies it, they're on Tinder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't deny it. I'm on Tinder. Like, yep, it's fine.
You're on Tinder.
I mean, it was fun sometimes, and then other times it was depressing. Like, it was lonely. Because then you're like, oh my gosh. What?
Or just terrifying. Because,
right.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. So some people are not truthful at all on those apps. They can put any profile picture, any information, like no one's checking it.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean,
it happens.
Yes. So there was this guy, nice guy, and it was early on in the dating app world for me. I had no idea, and I'm like, oh, so we were texting nonstop for like 3 weeks. I didn't meet him. His picture looked okay, whatever. And then we decided to talk on the phone, and I am a person, and I don't know what it is, but the voice is important to me.
I got a good story here to tell you.
Yeah, we'll tell that story after. But the voice is important to me
voice.
Because I am intuitive. I pick up on things, and the voice has energy for me. And so I have to hear someone's voice, and then I can like get an idea of the person. Well, once we talked on the phone, I was kind of like, I don't know, his voice was weird. And then, so I was like, all right, well, I need to be more open-minded. So we met at Mission.
Solid meeting spot.
Right. So I come in,
So
and
far,
I
so
sit
good.
down at the bar. And then I turn, and there is this gentleman next to me. And I'm not even joking. And I'm not making fun. But he was very much a lot shorter than me. Very much so.
Come on, short kings are in right now.
Well, like under 5 foot.
And he lied in his profile.
Well, yeah. See, it's not the height. It's the dishonesty.
Exactly. And so the thing of it was, I had heels on, so it made me like 5'9", right? 5'10". I don't know. I'm 5'7". Add 3-inch heels, high heel boots, and I didn't recognize him because it wasn't his picture. And so I'm sitting there and I'm looking around, and then he turns.
You were expecting the picture to be here, and he was all the way down here.
Yes.
And I'm not making fun of short guys.
Oh my gosh,
Right,
no!
right.
And I'm not making fun.
I'm not. I can't.
Right, I'm not
tall.
making fun, but he was not truthful, and I was like, "Oh my goodness! If he's lying about this, what? Who is this guy?"
I mean, that's a common thing dudes lie about.
Yeah, but this was like we're talking like
The height or
2
the
feet.
height?
But
That's like a meme online. That's like
He didn't say he was 5'10". He said he was like 6'3", 6'4", and he was probably about 4'11". I'm not even joking.
I guess what goes into the mentality.
did he just
of
like
that,
reverse the height and the inches
I
part?
think he did.
Is it one of those things where like you think, well, you know what, if I get to the date, then I can win her over or something like that.
I mean,
you know?
you could like round up and say you're like by like an inch or two, like, you know, but like.
But the lying part, like that part was like weird to me. So I'm like, so I sat and had the conversation, and then I'm like, this isn't working because everything, it just didn't feel right. I couldn't get past the fact that he used a different profile picture. He looked like a big stocky guy, and that was not who he was, and whatever. So I had to I text my cousin to give me the emergency call. So she calls me. It's like this emergency call, and I'm like, oh, I have to go. It's the babysitter. And I felt bad doing that.
You know there's an emergency call, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've had one genuinely bad date where like she like pulled it, and I'm just sitting there going, I know what you're doing. I wasn't like, I was kind of like I was like okay with not having a second
I'm not holding
date.
you hostage. You can go anytime.
We literally are sitting outside, and this was also COVID era dating. So yeah, I went, cool, yep. Just
Okay.
as soon as I knew it, I was like, she goes, did you want to like split? I was like, yeah, actually I do want to split dinner, and I never do that.
Oh man. Well, good. Well, hey, good for you.
Yeah.
You know.
But I was honest with
rights.
him. I was honest with him because I couldn't leave him hanging like that. But I did let him know, the picture just doesn't match up, and I can't trust you. And it's like, so that kind of thing would happen, where people wouldn't use the profile picture, or they'd use a profile picture from like 15 years prior, and then you're like, okay, not that looks are everything, but it's not honest.
Use like reasonably like recent picture, unless you just haven't aged in like 5 years. Something like that. I mean, John's aging in reverse. We got Benjamin Button over here.
I am now 26 years old. I want to hear the funny story. So okay. So here's the hypothetical. The wife goes to Mark and says, "Hey, I want to spice things up a little bit. I want to do a shoot and give it to my husband, and he'll like really love it, and it'll spice things up, and so forth." So then they come to you.
That's great. That's how it should always be. My funny story is, this must have started. So it was a husband who had found my information, called me, and he was like, "Oh, I really want to like do a shoot for my wife," and like calls me up, and he's kind of like nervous, geeky on the phone. He's an older guy. I'm like, okay. He goes, "Oh," like just like, "Oh," like that type of voice. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so he would call me, and he would like chew my ear off for like 40 minutes. Like, "Well, that's kind of what I want." And like, I'm like, yep, we can do that.
Well, what do you want?
Well, he's like, "Oh, I want topless. I want this." I was like, okay. And he goes, would you be willing to do it like outdoors and stuff like that? I was like,
oh man, we're getting really.
I'm like, oh,
man,
okay.
This guy's got some specifics here.
So, right. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, yep. I was like, we'll talk it over to your wife. Like, make sure like that's what her comfort level is. I was like, if she wants to get a hold of me, that's great. Like, I'm the one shooting with her. I was like, so I got to talk to her for specifics and all that. And he goes, all right, yeah, I'll get it. She never calls me. I just don't think about it. A year later, I swear it's like a year to the day later, I get a phone call.
They got on their calendar.
Same thing. It like goes through the whole same spiel again. I was like, oh, that's funny. He goes, yeah. It's my birthday's coming up, so I'm really trying to get her to do it now. I'm like, okay. Just like clockwork, a year later. Because obviously I'm roughly figuring out when this guy's birthday is. I think it's in July. I'm waiting, and I'll get a phone call this year. 5 years. 5 years in a row, he has called me.
So you've never talked to the wife.
I've never talked to the wife. I've never talked to, and I found out like the last time he called me, he was like, I just went. I was like, dude, I'm so busy right now. Which, in fairness, it's June. I am extremely busy.
Maybe he wants to come for a photo shoot.
I will charge him a little more.
Oh my god!
I'm like not kidding. Like he calls me every time, and I'm almost going.
Oh my god!
Is there like some weird thing I don't know?
Yeah, this is
going on. Like.
Some like fetishy.
So basically, what I'm saying is that's the wrong way to do these kind of shoots. Is
if the man is pushing it.
Yeah, I was like, she's not gonna be comfortable doing this.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So because I mean the women. I mean obviously they will want to do it if they're going to do that.
Right.
But it's a thing. Like I see more and more of those people who are sort of specializing that. They probably do, like you do wedding photography and things like that, but like this is like a niche market, and the niche is there.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, like
I only know of like 2 other people women that do the boudoir photography.
There definitely was like
there's probably more,
a lot for a while, and then it kind of like it goes up and down. I feel like in the Berkshires.
Yeah.
In the Berkshires.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the outside the Berkshires?
Oh, it's a huge industry outside the Berkshires.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Like that's like a big deal. I mean, what does that say about people, like psychologically? Like,
I mean,
like women want to be beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And they, and everything.
And there is something liberating. I've never had a shoot done like that, but I would imagine because the people that I know who have done it, especially if like they have recently lost weight, or maybe they got like a few tattoos that they want to show off, or things like that, it's very liberating, and like it makes them feel beautiful, and so it's a pretty cool service to offer.
Yeah.
It's cool. And now how did you start? Because you do editorial shoots. We've talked about this in the past, with the ladies, and they're pretty racy sometimes. How did you get into that?
I asked him that. I was like, how did he get into that? He's like, well, we'll have to ask him.
We'll have to ask him.
Purely by chance. I had gotten into photography, and like the nature of photography and everything else. I just camera geek. I was like, yeah. And I happened to date a girl who was like, oh, would you take modeling photos of me? And I was like, sure, I don't know what I'm doing. So I did. And they were, I mean, if I looked at them now, I'd be like, oh, dear God. But they were okay. For a guy who, with a very base level camera, didn't really know what he was doing with lighting, they were okay. But I learned a lot. I'm learning posing. I'm learning all this other stuff. Well, then her friends saw, they're like, oh, well, we want shoots. So it just kind of snowballed from there. But I always laughed, like, the modeling stuff was, like, the best photography school of all time.
Yeah.
You have willing subjects to put up with you while you're moving and switching lights around and, like, angles and, like... So it's funny, all the racy editorial stuff I've done has, like, paid off for, like, every wedding I've ever done. It's paid off for headshots.
So yeah, because I was going to say, I don't know, if you've made millions off of those editorial shoots.
No.
Probably not. I feel like you probably didn't maybe charge much.
Here and there. I mean, it
depends.
It depends. It is business. I mean, like I had I had a few shoots in January, like, which hopefully will be featured on a certain website.
Good.
Yeah.
Which website?
Playboy.
Oh my.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, Mark, you're going
That
up.
would be
Slowly but surely getting there.
You're going up the,
Yeah.
You're going up the ladder here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's a lot more like working with, like, just the full-on professional models at this point. I don't do as much with, like, the rookie amateur models anymore, because that can also have a lot of headaches.
Yeah.
So there it is. So that's part of the thing. Like, you hustle. You get those jobs. You get your. You perfect your craft, and then the wedding. The wedding has got to be the biggest margin shoot that you have.
No. Commercial is so much
Commercial.
better. Yeah.
Really?
Weddings are fun. I like shooting weddings, but, like, I have this thing about weddings where I'm like, I like to charge a fair amount for Berkshire County.
Yeah.
And, like, we've talked about this with, like, how much photographers charge for weddings, and I'm always like, sometimes I'm like, how are you charging that much to a client? And then I go, you're smarter than me. That's why you're doing it that much.
Yeah.
But even so, I'm like, it's Berkshire County, like, and depending what the delivery is, I'm like,
Well, there's two trains of thought. The train of thought is, well, the market is whatever someone's willing to pay for something.
Right.
That's one side of things. But then the other thing is, all right, how do I balance that with valuing, my time? And of course, people can say, well, I'm worth $500 an hour or whatever that may be. But let's be realistic here.
Right.
mean, when you have to pay $10,000 for a wedding shoot, or
I mean,
$6,000 or $7,000,
that better be including a second shooter all day. That better be including a videographer,
Right.
like potentially a photo booth or something like
I
that.
mean, that's
there's
one
a lot
day.
of features, but
yeah.
it's a crazy industry. But, like, I always kind of laugh. We're like, oh, why is this so expensive? I'm like, okay, I have equipment. Oh, you want your photos? Well, I'm posting them on the website that I'm always paying for. Oh, like, you want a USB drive? Well, I'm buying that. Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
I have insurance for liability. Like, people forget that it is actually a business. And I always, like, warn, like, photographers starting out. I was like, don't undersell yourself too much. I go, because you'll end up working for, like, less than minimum wage by the time you're done.
Good point. Good point. When you add it all up, and so when you see that top line check that you have to pay, realize that there's a lot more that goes into it. That's any small business.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine when you're shooting a wedding or something like that, like the positions too, because like at our wedding, John's cousin shot our wedding, and, like, she was on the floor at some points, and, like, in weird positions and whatnot, all over the place all night.
It helps to stretch before a wedding.
Yeah. And I noticed that.
And Mark was there, not the whole night.
Yeah, Mark came later.
I made it through the snowstorm. Yeah.
Yeah.
He made it through.
I even got my hair cut for you to show
I know
off.
it.
The kids are going to be so excited. They call him Uncle Mark.
Uncle
Mark.
Riz, come on,
Uncle
let's be as cool as
Riz.
possible.
Which is
Uncle
amazing.
Riz.
Yeah.
I mean, having the Riz, and that's what the kids are saying today too. Is that's Riz.
Yeah.
That's Riz.
You got Riz.
or whatever.
I was just saying, I told my barber I would shout him out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love Chris. He's been my barber for years
Where
now.
is he?
Lennox Legacy.
Okay.
Lennox Legacy,
I've
Chris.
been following him since Elm Street.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, he was on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Did he do your beard too?
No, this was
You
me.
do a good job.
That's meticulous.
Yes.
I'm OCD about the beard.
Your beard is
It's
my beard was
meticulous.
never. Maybe I would still have the beard if it was that meticulous.
I think Papa Chops trimmed your beard one time. It looked really good. Did he trim your beard?
Maybe I think so.
Yeah, I think
but it
so.
grows back so quickly.
Yeah,
So it's
it
just
really
like
did.
Like I said, you have to be OCD.
Yeah.
you have to be OCD.
It's like-
so, all right. So this is when Cara and I were talking, and I was back in Newton. So this is back in 2020, and we would talk on the phone for like hours.
In the middle of the summer there.
In the middle
Probably
of the summer.
July, August.
And so
we only saw each other one night a week.
Yeah. So we talk on the phone quite a
Yeah.
bit. So I would be on the phone. I'd have my like headphones in with my iPhone, and then I'd be like going, trimming the thing. And she'd be like, "What is that?
Oh
What
yeah,
is
it's
that?"
right by the mic. You're like doing this like click.
And she gets so irritated by it. I'm like, I'm just like, what are you doing? I'm like, I barely even know you. Why are you yelling at me?
I was not yelling.
I'm just
See, that's why I knew I liked her.
And I'm like, I'm trying to,
I was like, are you even listening right now?
Are you even listening? And I'm like, well, I mean, we're talking for hours, so at some point I have to like do some maintenance here.
And then sometimes you'd fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like we'd be
Go
on the
figure.
phone for 4 or 5 hours, and then I would like talk, and I talked a lot. Apparently, he told me
Basically,
later.
I mean, Kara can talk.
Nah, I don't believe you.
In case you didn't notice, she can really.
Yeah.
She can talk.
How many times did you fall asleep though with him talking?
Sometimes.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, I mean, we would talk. It was late at night, and I would be like falling asleep, but like then I'd all of a sudden hear him like snore a little bit, and I'm like, all right, John, get some sleep.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah. I do not have a difficult time falling asleep.
Right
generally.
away.
Like if I
Boom.
hit the.
Puts his head on the pillow. Done.
Yep. Hi.
Yep.
Do you go to sleep?
No.
I thought most guys are
don't.
like that. No.
No.
I don't.
No.
I've got to read. I've got to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I need my fan on, like I need my white noise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to have the whole setup. That's how. I mean, there could be all kinds of stuff going on.
He laid his head on that pillow last night, had his glasses on, and he was snoring within 1 minute. And I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, I'm tired. I'm like, okay. So I put my headphones in. And he went to sleep, and I watched a show on my iPad.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. That's how you make it work.
Yep.
That's how you make it work. Okay. Well, we love you, Mark.
Thank you.
So good to see you.
We covered a lot of ground here. Border shoots.
Yeah, so if anybody
trash.
wants a shoot,
Yeah,
give Mark a call.
Yeah, I mean, he's busy now.
Yeah.
Like you got to get in that calendar. But if you want your bourgeois shoot,
We'll talk later in the summer, when graduation season is finally ended.
Yeah.
we'll put your link up there. But how can people get in touch with you, Mark?
Go right to the link. It's the easiest.
All right. Well, everyone, have a great night. We love you all, and we'll see you soon.
Have a great night.
Thanks for having me.